Hello and welcome to One-to-One Mining Investment APAC. We're now going to have a panel looking at Chinese outbound investment, and we've got a fantastic lineup of panelists for you today. First of all, we have Guocheng, who is the CEO and president of Hanking Industrial Group. We have Jiawen, who is investment manager at Pengxin International, and we have Wang Xiaofei, who is a director at Zhaojin International. Welcome, panelists. Great to see you here today. Since a peak in 2016, outbound investment out of China has slackened off a little bit, and in 2019 was at similar levels to 2014. Then along came 2020 with COVID-19 crisis. Has the crisis created buying opportunities for Chinese investors, or has it thrown up obstacles? Those are some of the things we're going to discuss today. And I'd like to start by just asking our panelists, here we are in 2020, what are your companies looking to invest in? What are the commodities that you like the look of, and are there any particular countries that are getting you excited right now? Greg, if we can start with you, Hangxing, what are you guys looking at the moment?
Yeah, at the moment we are focusing on the precious metals and copper, and at this point we are looking for more advanced, gold or silver projects, and also if there's a good opportunity, we also look at the copper too. And in the geographically, we are more focused on the Australia, Canada, and Indonesia as the moment.
Fantastic. And Jiawen, tell us, Pengxin, what are you interested in at the moment?
So I think Pengxin was one of the first mining companies that went into DRC, went into Africa, and we were being there for more than 10 years. After DRC, we started our second mine in South Africa as well. So from Pengxin, it's even before the pandemic or after the pandemic. I think one thing is not changing is our preference to the African mines. So we will stick to our geographically, we will stick to our investment priority into Africa, especially southern part of Africa. And for commodity, I think something that's similar to Craig, what has just said. So we will focus on also gold and copper, which this is the two species that we already have. And also we pay a lot of attention to the energy metals, which is a hot spot right now, definitely. Yeah.
It's interesting. I mean, today, obviously, we are on the cusp, well, later today, somewhere in America, Elon Musk will be making some announcements about batteries. We don't know what he's going to announce yet, but Battery Day, they're calling it, is certainly getting people interested in that sector. Xiaofei, how about you? Zhaojin International, what are you looking at the moment?
Hello. Zhaojin is the fourth largest gold producers in China. So Zhaojin's main business is about gold and silver and copper. So now our overseas investment target is also focused on these kind of metals, gold, silver, and copper. So for these years, we have been looking around the world to find good opportunities about good projects. So and initially, we have decided our criteria like good projects for the annual production will be around 100,000 to around 400,000 ounces per year. And that could be production stage, maybe higher development stage. And since this year, we have put some energy on the junior explorers, like some of the very early stage one. And but this should be mainly for the financial investment. So for the countries, for the last several years, we have done actually a lot of work on the looking for the opportunities around the world. We have some business in South America, and we did some equity investment in Canada and Australia. Now, what our priority countries is still some countries with lower risk of jurisdictions and conflicts. So now our priority region is like Canada, Australia, which we are familiar with, and also West Africa, which has a lot of good potentials, and also like Russia, which we also familiar with, and South America, which we have operated for several years. Yeah.
In your portfolio, I mean, what percentage of your investments will be into sort of strategic investments into producing mines, and what percentage might be financial investments? Because like it's our task and our work is our division is M&A department. So in our work, we should be like maybe should be more than 90% should be like strategic investment, which we want to acquire to get the controlling ownerships of the projects, and also for some project which we can't hold, so maybe we can consider the financial investment. Yeah, that could be I think a smaller amount, and also we have built some relationship with Canada fund and did the good profit in recent years. Yeah. Absolutely. You mentioned, I mean, country risk. You said you lower jurisdictional risk areas. At the moment, though, with the sort of political shenanigans, as we'd say, that's going on around the world, how easy is it to judge political risk? Because you might in the past have thought of somewhere like Canada as being a low risk country. But given this, the situation with sort of the Huawei situation and things like that with Canada, how do countries like Canada rank in terms of jurisdictional risk?
I think it depends on the interest. Mining industry is like a traditional industry, and for our business, normally it didn't touch the country's security, so we don't have much worry about such of disruptions with government. So I think currently we are still think Canada, Australia is still good jurisdiction places for us to find opportunities. But you can say that Shandong Gold did a deal, TMAC, these years, but also some voice has been given from some senators. They have advocated the risks of Chinese SOE companies. And so that could be that has given the uncertainty to the success of deals. So we also concerned of that, but I think commonly we still think these two countries like Canada, Australia, are still our priority countries for investment. Yeah.
Well, that's very good to hear that you're still confident in those countries. Greg, I mean, you've invested in Australia in the past very successfully. What are your thoughts on sort of jurisdictional risk? Do you still see Australia as a friendly place for Chinese outbound investment?
Yes. Overall, I still feel Australia is very stable and friendly in terms of the mining investments. And even though China and Australia relationship has been deteriorated in the last couple of years, I wouldn't worry about that too much, because as mining is a very traditional conventional type of field that's not very sensitive in any sense in terms of the government consideration of securities. So it's not involving anything like the country security issues. So I wouldn't worry about very much. So I will continue to focus, on the Australian and the regions in terms of our future projects, generations, and in potential acquisitions.
Absolutely. Although, I mean, in certain commodities, which might be seen as sort of strategic minerals, particularly around the sort of energy metals space, there certainly seems to be some pressure from governments around the world to sort of manage investments into those areas. Jiawen, I mean, Pengxin, you've invested into sort of energy metals. You're interested in that space. Are you seeing any sort of pushback at all, or challenges to you guys investing into those sort of sectors?
Yes, I think definitely, as you said. So currently, the more tougher screening and regulation, it does increase some concerns when we considering outbound investment. So some countries, I agree with Greg and Xiaofei what they said, that Canada and Australia, so overall their investment environment is like top ranking. But this country, some of this country, they have overhauled their investment screening regime. And they gave these regulators the right to block the deals, which may raise what they call national security issues. I think under this background, it did cause the investors a lot of concerns here. And also, so consider this trade war and increasing protectionism, resource protectionism. These are likely to dampen the global commodity demand, and this will also disrupt the supply chain of metals and mining companies.
Absolutely. And on another subject, I mean, in terms of the ease of doing investments at the moment, how are you managing to get around sort of travel restrictions? Obviously as a key part of making a major investment is doing the due diligence. How easy, or is that even possible at the moment given the current situation?
I think thanks to the COVID-19 outbreak, so people are now very innovative of how to conduct the due diligence. In some deals that we are following on, people are having this video or different kind of ways to show their asset. It's not like traditional just a paperwork or something. I think it's more visualized. So for us, it's also learning something new and experiencing something new. You see, this is a challenge, but maybe in the future this would be normal. People don't have to go on the field anymore.
But I mean, how important? So I mean, Greg, for you, how important is it for you to get sort of boots on the ground to actually go and have a look at the project, or do you have trusted advisors in those countries that you're looking at who you can trust to go and have a look for you?
Yeah, first of all, it's very difficult to make any international traveling since it's pandemic issues in the outbreak. We, of course, I think it's very necessary to be on ground. If we want to do anything substantially, we have to, visit the ground, and we have to look at the assets, and we have to examine, in fields. But at this point, we are maximize using our field teams. For example, we do have Australian team there, and we are expanding that team to look at quite a few more projects in the last couple of months. So video conferencing of this new communication technologies, could compensate up some of the losses of the communication, traditionally, but it's not going to solve all the problems, we face. So we cannot avoid, to visit the fields. I think we have to do that.
I mean, does this mean that you're going to see more investments into locations like Western Australia, for example, where there are people on the ground who can look at the investments for you, and possibly fewer investments into more remote, hard to reach locations.
Right, that's exactly, I think, in last a few months, for example, that we are more examining the projects, opportunities in Australia and Indonesia, because both of the countries, we have teams there. And we are, in all the other countries, we do have the project looking at through the, conferencing, but that's still is not enough. That's why we are still focusing on the projects. We do have team locally.
Xiaofei, is that a similar story for you guys? You've obviously got people over there in Canada.
Yes, we don't have teams in Canada, but we have some staff. We have a big team in South America, in Ecuador. So. But this pandemic, it materially has affected our work. So now most of our work is just internal indoor works, and we have some contact with third party, like the agent, a marketing consultant, and have some other agents who we want to hire them to do some due diligence work. But now all the work has been slowed down, and the efficiency is much lower than before. So now our solution is we are mainly focused on the internal work, and we try to solve most of the questions through the a video conference, and with the technical guys, and for some other work which should be like surveyed at the site, that we still find ways to do that. One company suggests that we can do a visually online site visit. We think, it's a good idea, but when you execute that, you will find that it's still not enough to satisfy our interior criteria. So most of our work now is still internally work with consultant, but we are still waiting for some time window to do the site visit.
Absolutely. Given that there are a lot of vaccines under development, a number of them in China, when this thing finally gets sorted out, whenever that might be, do you expect there to be a sudden flurry of deals? There must be this sort of pent-up demand for deals. So when we come out of this, do you expect there to be a whole load of deals coming on?
We hope so. We hope so. For the vaccine now in China, the vaccine is, as far as I know, many people who will work abroad or plan or has to be abroad, they have give injections of the vaccine. We can hope after more people have the vaccine. So maybe it will be some explosive of this site, this kind of work. Will happen. Will happen, and some countries,
Absolutely. Jiawen, what are your thoughts on looking forward to 2021? Do you expect a flurry of activity as we come out of this crisis?
Yes. So we are very positive on the momentum right now. So not only because there are some deals that is undergoing, as previously talked. So I think all of us, we are carrying on some internal works. So no matter you have the on-field team or is getting into a new country, so into 2020, we are very we looking for, so hopefully as is, hopefully we get something done. So I think the overall environment is still very supportive, not only because of the is from the higher level government policy. So it's still very encouraging the natural resources sector to going out. So they encourage this internationalization, this strategy. So enter this background. So this wouldn't change. It's just so the pandemic is just a time issue.
Absolutely, absolutely. Well, I think that's probably a good way to wrap things up. Obviously it's a challenging time for everybody, but we look forward to coming out the other side of this and seeing a load of activity when we can all meet again, freshly vaccinated at live events. So thank you very much, panelists, for your time today. That's been very interesting. Look at Chinese outbound investment. So thank you.
Thank you, Leo.
Thank you, Leo.